What's up, assholes? Welcome back to the Call to Action podcast. I'm James.
I'm Matt.
What's up? And I'm Danny. How are you guys? How's it going?
And we have a special guest this week, live from the PJ Campbell show. It is PJ Campbell.
What is going on, guys? Thank you so much for having me. It is a pleasure to be here tonight.
Great. We'll be doing a full recap of this week's episodes. But first, PJ, being as a guest of the show, I'll ask you a few questions about, first of all, how did you get into the Schmoedown?
So I had been watching Schmoedown for a very long time, probably since right around their inception, and I'd kind of been following them for a little while. And when the Schmoedown was just a game show at first, and then when it came to Collider, I just kept watching it. And the longer it kept going, the longer I kept being a fan. And over time, it's been kind of cool that I've gotten involved with it, and it's really, really special. The stuff that Christian and Mark has created has been really, really awesome. And just as someone who grew up in an area that was like a small town in the middle of Northern California, film and media wasn't like a big thing for a lot of the people there. And watching Schmoes kind of was my gateway into this world, into this medium and stuff. And the Schmoedown specifically was a game show made specifically for me, and so it's been a fun ride, and that's kind of where I came from. Watching it was just watching their old reviews and falling into the Schmoedown show.
All right, we're getting to the match recap right now, but PJ, if you can, your mic is coming in very staticky. So can you fix that? That'd be great.
What's that? I'm sorry.
Your mic is coming in staticky.
Okay, give me just a second.
Okay.
I apologize.
No, I just want to say I'm really glad that you could join us on the show. I know how involved you are with MTS and doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes. So having you here is a real treat. So thanks for hopping on with us and joining us today.
Yeah, of course, you guys. Is that any better?
That sounds perfect. Great.
Okay.
And like you said, now we can actually... go ahead.
Yeah, no, I apologize. So if you guys missed what I had said earlier, essentially I came through watching Schmoedown. I've been watching since the beginning when it was just a game show for them, and I grew up in an area where movies and media weren't talked about by a lot of people, and so Mark and Christian, a lot of what they did spoke directly to me, and so when they moved the show to Collider, I watched it very vigorously and was very, very much a fan of it, and it's kind of cool that in that time I've kind of fallen into actually being involved and helping them out, and it's kind of surreal. Like, I love the Schmoedown. It's a game show that literally speaks to my interest. It's a trivia show. It's about movies. It's perfect.
And now we can get into the match. Before we go too far, Danny, have any earbuds you can put in?
What?
Danny?
About
any earbuds you can put in? Earbuds.
Oh, I could get my headphones. Do you need my headphones?
Yes, we do. Yeah.
Right. One sec.
Okay, and while Danny does that, we can talk about the match. First of all, we have the family versus Inky and the Brain. As is no secret, we are very big Andrew Guys fans. But PJ, how was your mindset coming to the match?
I mean, coming off of Houston, you had to know that the family wanted to win this. Obviously, Andrew Guy felt like he would have something to prove. And the family is actually quite a good team, and they're building their own little faction, which is really fantastic. And yet Inky and the Brain continues to be one of the more entertaining teams in the league. And I was really hopeful that we'd get a very good match out of it. And as it turns out, we did. Like, we got a very good match out of this in the end, which was really fantastic.
And very big fans on the show here of Rachel Silvestrini, who had a very impressive match today. Just going through quickly, they did score 11 points in round one, which isn't great. But then Rachel almost single-handedly led the team to score an additional 11 points in round two in the Kevin Smith category.
Kevin Smith is a difficult category too, man. Like, Kevin Smith can be very vague depending on what you're looking for. And Rachel loves Kevin Smith. She's a big fan, and she studied, and it turned out to be perfect for her. Like, how many people could have gone? They only had to go to multiple choice once in that entire round. They ended up coming out, I believe, 22-12. They had a 10-point lead on the family, which is really impressive in and of itself. But she single-handedly, for the most part, carried them through that, and it was really impressive.
No arguments there. And then also in round 2, I believe the Family's Fun family films, unless I'm mistaken?
Comedy.
Comedy, thank you. Scoring a perfect round 2. Thank you, McWeenie, with 12 points, leading into a 24-22 into the third round. And I think a lot of discussion has been leaning towards saying that McWeenie is going to carry Guy, which after Houston is not a great discussion.
Okay.
However, I think they both played a very impressive game, as much as it seems that maybe McWeenie did a lot of the lifting in that round 2.
I don't think that's the case because Andrew's been proven that he's very good at comedy too, and you've seen in his match with Dan Murrell. I mean, he's no slouch in comedy.
I think this is a plug for the Patreon here. I believe in a recent tag episode they did before Houston, Andrew was talking about how even in their earlier matches, people were saying that he was the one carrying Ben, and that in that big Shy Wolves match at the LA Live show, that he knew a lot of those round 3 answers that Ben sort of fumbled and led into the loss. I like to see in a lot of fan discussions, we're having a lot of conversation about Andrew being carried consistently, especially after Houston, being that he's like not as impressive of a competitor. But I think a big focus here needs to be on the collaboration. I think that McWeenie and Andrew have a surprising amount of chemistry for how little time they've put together.
They also play well together on top of that. That feels very important. And it was something similar that we saw with Rachel and Inky in the Brain. Like, you have to be with the right person to understand their motivations, to understand what you need to do in order to play. And for something like this, especially in comedy, some of those were very deep cuts. And Andrew leaned in on Drew when he needed to, which is great. And you could see that he would lean over to, talk to him or whatever to confer if they needed to. But he also let McWeenie lead, which is not a bad thing. Drew is a great competitor, but he also knows that in the team matches, it's not a bad thing to lean on your partner, and it showed in this match.
That is certainly true. We can get into this a bit more about Andrew's character, but in round 3 we get a TKO. Match was ending with a family 24-22 lead, and we skipped over it, but there was a pre-match cutscene with Andrew recovering from Houston and basically saying, let's fucking get this bread, let's go for blood, stuff like that. And that really showed in the, I don't know what else to say about it, but just getting into Rachel and Devon's heads.
Yeah, I felt like that was definitely true. He very much played his character. He was ready to go. He was on fire, and he got in their heads. He was even during round 2, he was kind of mouthing off to Christian Mark a little bit under his breath. You could hear it on the mics. Like, he's very good at doing that. There's a reason that he's so well liked. Even if as one of the most intense heels in the league, he's liked because he's good at what he does. And that's why a lot of us have always enjoyed him as a competitor and as a person. How can you not?
Yeah, I think Andrew's like the best when he's talking shit, and he's always talking shit, so he's always on. Like, he just does things that no other heel does in the league, which is like getting people's heads and just messes with their psyche and everything. I think that's a big part of his game plan.
Oh, 100%.
I think the big discussion this week is going to be more towards the singles match. Do you guys have anything else you want to add to this amazing match we got this week?
I mean, it's just a damn good match, and it shows why these competitors are so good at what they do and why these ones in particular are some of the most well-liked. I mean, that was a very diverse group of people at the desk, and they are all very, very good at their characters. They're very fun to watch. and I think it should go down as one of the better team matches here just on of it alone.
I have to agree with you there. I feel like it's gonna to me at least it feels like it'll be forgotten by the end of the year. But it was a very entertaining match, and I almost forgot. To me, what was the most amazing part about it was the post-match interviews, where I think Inky and the Brain sort of soft confirmed they're having a match against the Wild Berries. But to me, I think the biggest thing I noticed, and I see very few other fans freaking out like I do, is the family's post-match when Roxy gave Andrew a little kiss on the cheek because they're very friendly now. I'm wondering what that means for the future of Roxy and Andrew Guy. What do you guys think?
That's a very terrific question, especially with what we saw out of Houston on top of it. Because what we see here is a man who might be stealing his old partner's girlfriend just, almost to get under his skin. I mean, he already lost the match. But, yeah, just to spite him. And that feels like a very Andrew Guy sort of thing to do. And I kind of like that. I think it's a fun build that we're seeing here. Why not? I mean, he is the ultimate heel right now. What's more heely than taking his old partner's ex on top of it?
Matt, do you have anything you want to add?
In professional wrestling, I've never been like a big fan of these like romantic love triangle storylines, but I think they're doing it pretty well. I'm curious where it's going to lead because Andrew's with the family and Roxy's obviously with the Odd Couple. I don't know how that whole teams are going to tie in together, and you had the thing with Ben. I don't know where it's going to lead, but I'm very curious.
I think getting like a bigger faction out of the two of them is the ultimate end goal. My only question would be the two managers, which I know Corruption's rocking. I'm not sure if more factions want to do that. But I think the idea of Andrew and Roxy getting a romance is very interesting. It's obviously something that we haven't really seen in the show before. My concern with it being leaning into the real life aspect because, as a very big fan of everyone involved with the Schmoedown, I saw Roxy's one-on-one with Christian Harloff. I think it was in like February or something, somewhere around there. And she was talking about how intense the breakup was between her and Ben. And I'm honestly not sure about how far they'll take these real life situations into the Schmoedown.
I think when you see what we've done so far as a whole, a lot of the storyline beats don't dive farther than they have to. I think that Christian is very aware of what he can and can't do, and I think that he would only take it as far as both competitors or both talent think that they should take it. So I think that they probably won't lean farther than they already have. I can't imagine outside of just like making it a storyline for fun, but I don't think we'd ever see anything more intensive than you would expect.
I think that's a good note to end on because we have a very big discussion coming soon in the singles match. Diamond Dave Del Rio versus Lightning Liz Shannon Miller. A match which I honestly didn't expect much going in, and I didn't get much coming out. What did you guys think of it?
Go ahead. Sorry.
Okay.
No,
I was expecting a better match than we got. Not to say that they didn't do super well, but they've just been building up these two so much. Like especially Liz saying that she's the next Ethan Irwin and everything. I think it was. I had my expectations way too high for this match, but I think it was a pretty interesting match. It says a lot about the two competitors, and I think the upcoming match with JT is going to be very interesting.
I can't imagine a situation where JTE loses to Liz, but that's just me. PJ, you had some thoughts on it?
Yeah, I thought it was a very interesting match. Liz is coming out very strong. David had played very, very well against Whitney Seibold originally, so he looked like he had a lot of potential. He still has a lot of potential, but Liz is showing she's got some very good strengths in the league, and I think that it'll be very interesting to see how that evolves. And yeah, match with her and JTE should be interesting. It would be a weird world where she would beat JTE just because we know that Josh is so strong at what he does. But I mean, I'm pulling to see how it goes because Liz could be a standout later on.
Yeah, I don't see her beating JTE, but I will say that JTE did lose to Cody Miller, so anything can happen in the league, like we've seen. So, but I do think JTE wins this pretty handily. I do have him on a fantasy team, so I'm pretty biased. But yeah, I think JTE takes it. It's not a sure thing.
Well, I mean, we're not. I wouldn't call him talking him down, but we're not holding him to that bar for no reason. I mean, in the first round, they got 5 and 6 points respectively, which 6 isn't terrible. We expect more out of people who are on the road to a championship, but that's we can't ask for a lot these days when you have such powerhouses in the league, and we have a whole separate storyline, a whole separate arc going with people like Bateman, Kalinowski, Janine, and everything. Round 2, you get 9 and 8. I believe they each stole 1 point, so it would have been 3 for Del Rio and 1 for Miller. I must have done that wrong, but still not very impressive round 2s. And then we get to round 3 with David hitting his 2-pointer, Liz hitting her 2 and 3-pointer, and not having to go to her 5. Again, I think the round 2 really solidified this as being sort of just like a meh match. Neither of them really made an impact on me.
Yeah, I think that's definitely fair. I also think that they're both kind of coming into their own still in the league. They don't quite have characters just yet. Like, they're still feeling it out. I do think that there's definitely potential for both of them to grow in the league, though. I think that overall it's not the most exciting match. I mean, especially of the 2 we got this week. I mean, one, in my opinion, is clearly much better than the other. But I think that there's still the room for growth and more potential down the line from both of them, which I think is the most important part. I mean, I would like to see them both back in the ring. It's not one of those times where someone plays and you just kind of shrug and then they don't come back, especially some of those very early on matches. I mean, if you guys go back to the early time in the Collider League, there's a lot of those competitors that we never saw come back. We don't seem to have that as much now, which is pretty cool. We actually get to see people flourish in the league and grow from where they start.
I have no disagreement there. I think maybe taking a break from singles would be best, especially as we're sort of leading into these championship runs. Maybe taking a break for a while until the singles tournament kicks in. But
sure,
taking a break from singles, do you think they could fit on a team? Maybe an Intergeekdom League? Where do you see them, each of them, going in the future?
That's a very good question. Knowing the competitors, I think that David would do very well on a team. I think that he is someone that if you partnered him with the right person, you could see a lot of potential growth out of him. And I think that would probably be best. For Liz, I have this feeling she'd actually do pretty well in Intergeekdom if you gave her a shot. And we could always use more players in the Intergeekdom, inside that division at least.
Yeah, I think
I had very similar. Go ahead.
I think putting new players on a team is a very good way to help them grow and get used to the league. So if you have someone there to look after you, but I think I would really love to see them back in singles because I don't think this match is the best showcase for their abilities. I think they're a lot better than what they've shown in this match.
I can hear you guys. Sorry.
Yay, Danny's back.
Sorry for the technical difficulties, guys. I'm at the mall.
That's all right. So Danny,
that's all right, Danny.
Yeah, we're talking about Miller and Del Rio. Do you have any thoughts on the match?
To be honest, I wasn't too wild about it too much. I do like the potential that's there, but overall, it wasn't as exciting as I wanted. I am looking forward to more like the stings and the post match more than anything, really. But it was a pretty close match. I think, what was it, 13-11 was the final score?
Yes.
Yeah, and I kind of want to see more of Liz Shannon Miller, though. I think she can be good in time, and and I like seeing her there too. So,
Yeah.
did you talk about the championship match yet?
Championship match?
Yeah, the title match. Oh, what did you talk about before? The family?
Yeah, family versus brain.
Yeah.
Here. So, I didn't backtrack to a point, PJ, you mentioned earlier about people sort of leaving the league. We saw that a lot in the Anarchy tournament with people who, like maybe like you had people like I think his name was Brian, part of War Machine, and you also had Mark Edward Hewitt,
right.
who was part of Whitney's team, and even now they're not coming to my brain because they're sort of here and gone sort of personalities. I think pairing them would be really interesting. So what you have with David right now, I think, is someone who, like mentioned before, would be really good in teams because his strengths lead more classic. Pairing him with someone like maybe Haley Fouch, who I'm going to continue to push to get a new teammate because I think she's amazing and needs more time. Maybe Mark Everett Hewitt, even though their strengths might lean a little more similar. And I think Liz might end up, if she continues to have a presence in the Schmoedown, I could see her just becoming Ethan Irwin's teammate in the future. Nothing against Janine, but just I think storylines have a very big potential right there for a split. And her and Irwin, because they're supposed to be the same person apparently, I think those two together could be really, really interesting future potential.
Yeah.
What you just said about. Oh, go ahead, Danny. Sorry.
I like that idea of them teaming up together. Even though I really like the idea of the time machine, but from the get-go, she was always a close friend of Ethan, so they're already comparing her to that. So that is a potential. At least maybe being a part of the Jay's future endeavors and stuff like that. I can see that happening.
Yeah, that's actually what I was going to say, is that the idea of Ethan and Liz teaming up down the line is actually not a bad call at all. I think that would be a very good pairing if it was done correctly. I think that's actually a really great idea.
Well, thank you. And yeah, I don't think anything really stands out. We already talked about how the future for Liz might be or will be going against JTE for the chance of the singles title. Before we get into the big part of the discussion, who do you guys think Del Rio should get another match against? Because he currently stands at 1-1, and we don't have a lot of competitors sort of in that field right now.
I want to see him up against Drew Grant. I think that could be a good match.
The Electric Lemon, I would like to see him with.
I think the obvious answer here that we're all overlooking is Tom Dagnino.
Yeah.
No. Actually, okay, so my serious answer would probably be Eric Zipper, which, as Nat knows, I'm not a big fan of him. But I think giving him the possibility of getting into singles and really pushing that, especially now that he's with Oyama, could be a fun little sidetrack. Just because David appears very confident and very of his own, and Zipper would just be sitting there like, I want to win, and I think my abilities can really get me there.
That's actually a good call for that.
So now you okay with the Zipper hate just going on over here?
Yeah, no, look, the thing that I love most, I'll just say this right now, about every side of this fan base in the end, I love how passionate you guys are no matter who it is. I love reading the things that you guys post in the group, and I like listening to the different shows because everyone comes at such a different angle of everything, and so it doesn't matter how you feel about whatever the character, the opponent, whatever it is. I love it. I think it's great, and just listening to you guys talk about the Zipper stuff, it's hilarious, and it's honest, and it's great, and I think it's fantastic.
You hear that, Nat? I am validated in my being an asshole. So you can take your Twitter likes wherever you want, but we all know that I am equally as important in my assholery as you are, and you're being a good person.
I don't know why you're calling me out on this. I don't care if you don't like Zipper, but I think that
because you went on Twitter like, oh hey Zipper, I'm sorry James is being an asshole. I can interview you and prove him wrong.
Hey, well, that wasn't me. What are you talking about? I don't remember that at all.
That was you. It was on the Facebook. Sorry, you did it on Facebook. You're like, hey Zipper, sorry. about, James.
I really don't. I think you got him mixed up with some other guy.
No, you fucking did it. I remember.
Well, I've heard it both ways.
Oh, wait, maybe it was Dylan.
I don't know. We need some
No.
receipts.
God.
We need some receipts to make sure.
It's kind of messed up.
We need the receipts. Where's the receipts?
I think it's kind of messed up that you're confusing two Asian guys on the podcast.
God, I knew you were going to use that on me. I'm sorry for preventing Call to Asian from being a real thing.
Oh, don't worry. It's coming soon. We're taking over.
Oh, God. I'm being betrayed. I'm losing my faction. I have to go team up with the Horsemen now because no one likes me. Oh, no.
We're starting a brand new side podcast faction called Call to Asian. So,
Speaking of traitorous bastards, we have this post credits, or was actually the pre-match credit scene thingy. We're gonna get into it now, so we actually have time to discuss this. The Manager Bowl is not quite as it seems. Rather than having the managers compete again, and Dagnino somehow almost winning, the managers will pick representatives, and those competitors will then face off for the manager's possibility of, I guess, being the boss of Sam and Emma, which I don't really think matters. Setting that aside, I think that's its own little fun little cutscene thing that won't have an impact on the league.
Mm-hmm.
But the competitors could be interesting. So far, the four managers we have right now are Kaiser, Grace/Ken, Burnett, and Dagnino. In this four-way collision, who do you see competing?
Okay, so for the family, I think it's going to be McQueenie. For corruption, I think maybe Chance, probably. And for the others, the dungeon, I think it's going to be Oyama. And which one am I forgetting? The Horseman? The Horseman, probably Dan. Or maybe Roka. Dan's tied up with the championship requirements or whatever. I don't know. What do you
Danny, what do you think?
Nat and I are kind of on the same page. I think they have always been pushing the whole Oyama and Chance thing. So I do think if it's not in this matchup, that eventually we're gonna get that.
We're getting into this.
Yeah, so I could see that happening. Horsemen, they will probably do. I could see them doing Ben actually, and Andrew again as like a second like rematch or something like that. Even though McWeenie would probably be the most sense, but I think they need as a validation because of like what happened in Houston. I think they're gonna take advantage to kind of do like a mini little rematch showdown kind of thing with that. So that's what.
Oh shit. One note, because now we're paying attention to the live chat. Malcolm's Middle Earth Media, which I believe is Malcolm Golile. Jay is also a manager who would be the fifth part of it, so it would be a five-way.
I knew we were forgetting someone.
Oh wait,
I felt dirty doing this.
Wait, we have a live chat here?
Yeah, we're live.
Oh,
yeah, we do.
Sorry.
We have
like an hour.
Let's see. We have 5 viewers, a new high.
Wow.
Yeah,
hey, what's going on? To all 5 of you watching, thank you.
I
mean, no offense, Janine.
Yeah. I think you guys kind of hit it. I mean, makes sense to have.
Actually, before I get into my whole idea of it, PJ, what was your thoughts about?
Well, I was going to say, I mean, it would make the most sense with Jay to have Ethan be the one who competes for the Time Machine and their faction. It's Ethan. Yeah, I'm here. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we're here.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, I mean, it would definitely have to be Ethan to me. Like, that makes the most sense. If we're talking about...
you cut out for a second there.
Okay. If it comes to the Horsemen, I think Dan would make the most sense, but I also could see them putting Roka in. It just, both of them could definitely do something with the league if they were in boss mode, I think. As far as when it comes to the family and corruption, I actually think they might try to use Tim Franco. Franco came out pretty strong in the team match, and I don't see why putting him on the desk wouldn't necessarily be a bad idea, at least to give him a shot in the. I know it's not a team match, but he showed he knew his stuff, man, so it's not a bad call, I don't think. Who am I forgetting?
Did you do the dungeon?
No, the dungeon, I mean, it's got to be Smets, right? It's got to be.
I think you hit it.
Yeah, I mean,
Maybe Burnett?
it's got to be Smets.
Kaiser?
Can you guys hear me? I think my.
Because
Yeah.
I think PJ, you hit it on the head with what at least my point of view on it is. We're going for literal knockouts, best of the best. Yeah, you're behind a little bit, but other than that, you're good.
Okay, cool. Sorry, guys.
Yeah. So yeah, like I was saying, I think you guys are going for big, heavy hitters, which isn't necessarily what they want to do for the league. Because I think Oyama versus Chance again might lose its steam. You're good. I think this could be like a big show for everyone. With Kaiser, you're probably going to put Oyama, like you said. But I think Smash premiering would be really interesting. Plus, as we talked about him on our interview, plug. He might have a future in singles if he gets to studying. Kalinowski, I think Franco's a really good bet because he's currently undefeated. Walking him with that attitude could be really dangerous in getting to the mindsets of the competitors, especially since Allison and Mike could be coming off losses pretty soon. Burnett going McWeeny makes sense only because Andrew had a very bad loss in Houston, sad to say. Dagnino could put Bateman in as sort of like a test for the Horsemen. Because while Houston was sort of a domination, he wasn't part of the Horsemen yet. This could be his big moment to say, like, you have to do this. You have to know what to do and at the right time. And then Irwin, because I don't think Janine having another match that soon would make sense.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that they're gonna try to save Dan and Roca, for the.
Can you guys hear me?
He has the founding. Yeah, I can hear you. I mean, as much I think
I'm behind. That's
Sales
great.
Roca would be there or Dan. I think they're really setting them up for to cash in for Collision with like the title, the teams, I think, or something.
Let me just have that air here. Okay.
So.
Things I think you're kind of messed up right now.
So let me ask you guys real quick. I just got a question. I know I heard Danny just bring up the idea of that title shot. Do you see any world where that title match ends and then the competitors come out to try to challenge for the belts then and there, or do you think that they would save that for later in the year?
Could you say that again?
No, I mean, I think that it could wind up like similar to like when Sam cashed in the first time. I think it could be an immediate like rematch or like defend title. I think as a big surprise. I think, or maybe they might serve that for some live show or something like that. I don't know, but I really do feel like that there's something that they're saving it for something big. So.
Yeah, I definitely think that they're gonna go the route of like it's gonna be unannounced, it's gonna be a surprise, like Sam did, not like Brienne did, where she announced ahead of time. I think also a possibility could be if Dan loses his singles title, he could use that to cash in right then and there to go again. But I don't think he would do that. I think he's gonna save it for the Founding Fathers. And yeah.
Right. Hopefully this works better. I moved to my phone, so it should all be better, hopefully.
Yes. It sounds better, and...
All right. And I'm not terribly lagging.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a lot better.
Yeah. And as we're getting closer to Collision, we have more of these confirmed matches. So far, we have this Manager Bowl, we have the Team Titles match, the Inner Geekdom #1 Contenders match, and the number one contender match for singles, correct? Those 4?
Yes.
Okay. Shit.
And isn't the Smets one going to be there too?
Yeah, he's the number one contenders match for Inner Geekdom.
Oh, okay. All right.
I remember having it before stated that Harloff saw 5 matches. What kind of surprises do you guys think could be going down then?
Well, we were talking about it a little bit earlier. Danny had floated the idea that if the Founding Fathers decided to cash in on their belt, their shot at a belt immediately ending the team match, that could be a lot of fun, and it would be a nice surprise if they ended up pulling something like that. We haven't seen anything quite like that in a little while, so why not?
I really like that idea. I'm sort of disappointed if we don't end up getting a Corruption versus Founding Fathers 2, because as we had with a recent interview, we can see that they're still very hungry for Roka, on top of just going for Dan, and they're both making a run for that singles title. But yeah, I don't know. I think building up from Houston and then dropping that might not be the best idea. However, I still think we're in that headspace where Dan is going to give his title to someone else for Inner Geekdom. That might happen then, have like a 3-way for the title.
But who is he going to put as? Who's going to be an Inner Geekdom for the?
Well, right now there's only 4 horsemen. And Tom's the manager, so they might bring in an Inner Geekdom to it. And
I'm still betting Mara.
Yeah.
Like, I genuinely think Mara's going to make her premiere at San Diego.
It could happen.
As much as I would love Mara, I just don't know if she is really, she expressed before, she doesn't like the whole story aspect to it. So I don't know if she's gonna want to be involved in the theatrics or something like that. But maybe, we haven't heard from anyone like Jared Hayborn or anything like that, or one of those guys.
Mark Donica flies from Florida and just crashes.
Maybe Donica, who knows? And I think there's still. I think he mentioned that there was still some new people that were still yet to debut. So I don't know.
Maybe because Brandon Hanna's a traitorous bastard, maybe he gets that title shot.
Yeah, Brandon Hanna, because he loves the backstabber Ben, should be the 5th horseman. So. Yeah.
Speaking of, because I know Brandon Hanna's in the chat, you little bastard. I'm on my phone now, so I can't see you guys what you're saying. So Brandon Hanna, you can suck a dick and have good luck on your match. I hope you get stumped.
That's not very nice. Brandon's a very nice person. We all should like Brandon.
I know you like him, PJ. You were in the fucking pre-match with him against me. I know y'all are colluding.
Mm-hmm. All I can say is thank you. Next.
Thank you. Snaps to that, Danny. I think that's it. Is there anything else you guys wanted to add to this week's discussion?
Well, I'm still in the middle of the parking lot of the mall, and I look sketchy as fuck right now. But
you're getting weird looks. People like just talking to himself in the car.
What the hell is this guy doing? He's been on this for hours. So I'm pretty good with. I don't have anything else to say or anything.
Yeah, I'm sure.
All right, great. So as we wrap up, PJ Campbell, where can people find you?
Of course, you guys can find me on Twitter at PJ_Campbell. You can find my podcast, The PJ Campbell Show, basically anywhere where podcasts are sold, iTunes, Podbean, Spotify, wherever. Just find it, listen to it. It's a lot of fun. I have Frank Janish, who does the Schmoedown Rundown, and Pat Hogue as my co-host, and we kind of just talk about all the things going on in the world of entertainment and things like that. You can look forward to the Dark Phoenix review, which is almost about 45 minutes long, and we actually kind of deep dive into the entirety of the franchise as well as the film itself, which has been a lot of fun and kind of looking back over the last 20 years. So if you get a chance, check it out. Of course, you can find my writing at triviasd.com as well. Gentlemen, once again, thank you guys so much for having me. It was a pleasure, and I would love to come back if you guys ever have the chance.
Okay. Thank you, PJ, for being such a great guest. And adding on to us being assholes, because I know that we very much enjoy when we get to do that. And then, Danny, I believe you're up next. Where can people find you?
Hey, guys. Brandon, all love. I'm just messing with you. Good luck with your match. You can find me besides shopping and good old Rockaway Township Mall. You can find me on Twitter at DKPKP or on Facebook in the Action Army. And I'll be seeing you guys in New York this in August. So I hope I get a chance to see as many of you then. So come say hi. I'd love to meet you guys. So thanks again for having me. And PJ, it's a pleasure having you here. Hopefully we can have you back on again soon.
Let me know when, guys. I will make time to do it.
Nat.
You can find me at NavVu on Facebook and Facebook groups. You can also find me at facebook.com/MissMover13. And hopefully you'll find me in Arizona at the live event. So, there you go.
Yes. And before we wrap up the show, I would like to add, PJ Campbell, you're welcome whenever you want to be back. Once you leave Brandon Hanna, because that bastard does not deserve to be anywhere near #team guy, #team table. You can find me on Twitter at Temecula Film Guy. That is at TEMECULA Film Guy. Also find us on Twitter as well as Alex. Oh yeah. Happy birthday to Alex Mack, the wonderful co-host.
Happy birthday, Alex.
Birthday.
Person who is on the Twitter all the time. Yes, you can find her on Twitter at Call to Action Pod, I believe. But also, because we are the Action brand, we represent Team Action. You can find them on Twitter at Team Action Show. You can also find them individually at Andrew Guy and at Ben Bateman Media, that bitch. Also find them on Instagram under the same handles. Don't forget to subscribe to the Team Action Patreon, where you can see episodes of the Action Guys every Friday in full video, as well as contribute to future action movie anatomies. This week, I believe, is Fellowship of the Ring, and tomorrow night there is a live watch-along of it. Look forward to that.
I'll be there.
Yes, you can join Danny in watching the third best Lord of the Rings film. I believe that is it for today. That is us signing off. Peace out, motherfuckers.
See you later.
Bye.